Alright, so this new Memory of Chaos we just got the other day is a real downer for a lot of players. We just had a new Memory of Chaos transition, and I gotta say, it's some real stinky butthole vibes, okay? Some real poopy butt vibes are going on right now, so let's go ahead and talk about this. But if you guys like this kind of stuff, consider leaving a like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and we cover all sorts of gacha games as long as they're good. So it looks like after refreshing the page, I can see more people that cleared, but I'm only seeing a grand total of 10 people on my entire friend list that's actually cleared this. If I refresh, it takes me right back to the other folks that cleared. If I refresh it again, right back to these other people. So it looks like only 10 people on my friends list may have even cleared this particular Memory of Chaos. That's insane. Okie dokie. Now I will be going over some different teams you can use in case you guys were struggling to clear, etc., etc. And I will also show some different data from other players that I have access to, and I can see all of their relics and their light cones and their eidolons, etc., etc. But first, I wanted to talk about the artificial difficulty, power creepy type of nonsense that we get with every single Memory of Chaos. The Memory of Chaos buff this time around, if you can see here, at the start of each cycle, regenerates 20% of your energy for all ally characters. That's a good buff. The energy regenerated by this effect can exceed the target's max energy and enables all memo sprites on the field to immediately take action again after their next action. So as you can see, any team that wants some extra energy, or just every team can use the energy, right? But if your team really needs a lot of energy really often, this is a huge buff for you. AKA Agleia really would like to have this type of buff, or the Herta could also enjoy this type of buff. Now let's read this very last part here. And it enables all memo sprites on the field to immediately take action again after their next action. Now, listen, this is a very specific buff that only certain characters can even benefit from. Who's benefiting from this anyway? Jingyuan, Topaz, Agleia. That's like, what, 3 characters in the whole game right now? And I don't think we're going to be getting any other memo sprite characters in the coming future. Yeah, sure, you got yourself your Remembrance Trailblazer, but their damage output is not necessarily going to help you in this particular Memory of Chaos, because this one is a bit of a pain in the butt. The HP inflation has not gotten any better, okay, and the enemies do have some annoying mechanics for some of them. I actually like some of the enemies that were used, but I also don't like the environment that they used them in. It makes a good enemy actually, not fair or not fun to go up against when you have so much HP inflation and when you have buffs for the Memory of Chaos that don't work with most characters, bro. Most characters can't benefit from this last piece right here. Yeah, sure, there's been Memory of Chaoses in the past where it'll give you a buff that everyone can kind of use, and then a buff that not necessarily everyone can use that does encourage you to use some of the new units, but you don't have to use some of the new units in order to clear. So I cleared this with teams, as you can see, that don't necessarily, well, they don't benefit off this at all, do they? Technically, Topaz could. And I will say I was using a Fei Xiao team with Topaz, when I was just messing around to see how well they did. By the way, Fei Xiao is totally busted, really good in this content, despite not necessarily being built for Fei Xiao teams, especially if you do have that Topaz on your team. Then yeah, she has a memo sprite, right? That does help out a whole heckin' of a lot. And at first glance, this 20% energy every cycle might not seem like that good, but that's insanely powerful, dude. Certain support characters are going to be able to keep a permanent uptime with their buffed state and never really fall out of it. Your main DPS characters get to ult more often. That means more damage at the end of the day, despite it not literally saying that here. This is a very powerful buff, but the secondary buff here is very restrictive. It only works on 4 characters in the entire game, and only 3 of them will actually be able to deal a significant amount more damage with this buff. That's a very limited amount of characters that can actually utilize this current Memory of Chaos buff. So it's restrictive, it's you know, despite it having a good benefit to it, but it also only helps certain characters, and with HP inflation being as bad as it is, this just doesn't feel good. And I know that they were talking about improving certain parts about the game, but it should be known that in the dev notes in that video I covered, they weren't going to implement everything until 3.2, and not everything might get implemented right away. So this Memory of Chaos was already pre-planned for characters like the Herta and Aglaia to shine, and it wasn't built for other characters to necessarily do that. This is definitely a cash grabby, pull the new character, scummy move by Hoyoverse, because they really want you to pull the new characters. And with, you know, certain characters like Castoris coming in the future, not everybody was excited about pulling a character like Aglaia, you know? And this is an opportunity for them to not only promote Aglaia, but also show how good the Herta is, so that you guys could maybe pull supports that work well with the Herta coming up soon, or even get excited about her and pull her on her rerun, which will eventually come during the Ampharos cycle. Now, I will go over some teams and synergies and good characters to use in this mode in just a second, but I wanted to quickly point out some of the clears that are on my friends list here, because you guys are gonna be thoroughly surprised and happy with what you see here. And what I mean by that is, you see this person here, Cohen, if I'm saying their name right. Let's take a look at what they got going on here. So they do have a Dan Hung Imbibitor Lune, and oh, what is this? Oh, they have their signature light cone, and it's at Super Imposition 2. That's very rare and insane to see. Wild. I wonder... Oh, yeah. This is an E6 Dan Hung Imbibitor Lune, bro. No wonder they cleared? What does this even do? After another ally uses their ultimate, the imaginary res pen for Dan Hung Imbibitor Lune, next, he gets a 20% res pen by himself. That's not off of a support. That's just for him. That's insane. This effect can stack up to 3 times. 3 times this effect can stack. That's up to 60% res pen. Get the heck out of here. No wonder this person cleared. 144 speed, almost 80% crit rate. No wonder they cleared, okay? So that lets you know what's going on with this person here and how they were able to clear. They literally paid money to do it. Let's look at something more relatable and something that I really actually wanted to showcase here. This is a Rappa team they use to clear side 1. Rappa is very, very good for this mode, in case you guys didn't know. Let's go ahead and take a look here. They do have their signature light cone. It is not superimposed. What am I doing? I'm being stupid. They don't have any Eidolons for this Rappa, and they have just kind of like normal stats, some solid break effect. Definitely some solid break effect there, but nothing too crazy. Just a good all-around team, something that I would consider to be relatable. So for side 1 of this Memory of Chaos, as you can see, the enemies are every single one of them weak to imaginary. That's really, really strong. Obviously, Rappa's gonna do some serious damage on these enemies when she's able to break them. And you guys know with the Swarm puts out all those little bugs. All of those little bugs are easily gonna die to Rappa, and they're gonna deal like 2 to 3% damage on the final boss, the Stinger. And that's really, really good. I think that's a very, very solid team to showcase, since I don't have Rappa on my main account. She's on my alt, so I couldn't really like compare, you know, to a very, very strong team on my main account. All right, now let's take a look at candidate number 3 here on this list. I don't know if we're going to look at all of these, but Mav, who is based as hell because they are using the trash can avatar, as you can see, because they're a fucking Jad. Oh, we got an E6 Acheron? Don't tell me. Okay, so they used Herta for side 2. How many Eidolons do you think they got? How many Eidolons do you think we 2 Eidolons, bro? Come on now. This Herta, by the way, this E2 is basically like double damage. Obviously, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's not much of an exaggeration. It is practically double damage compared to an E0, and they got the light cone too. Jesus. Wait, what the heck? All right, I know what I'm doing later. I got some Rule 34 video content to take a look at here. So let's take a look at what else they got. They used the Sustainless team for side 1 with a Fei Xiao. The Fei Xiao is the only character I can actually look at because they haven't updated and put their Aglaia up here. 2 Eidolons! Oh my god, this is so pay to win. This is so pay to win. Oh my god, that is unnecessary. You do not need that on Fei Xiao. She's busted at E0, bro. And the light cone too. Gosh darn it. Okay, so this is literally this person. This is literally Hoyoverse's #1 fan is this guy. This person right here is doing exactly what Hoyoverse wants them to do. They pulled the new Aglaia character. They use her literal best in slot team, except they go sustainless, so they have a little wiggle room here to throw down a Fei Xiao, which is obviously a very, very strong character, considering how many Eidolons and powered up she is. But they also have this Herta team, which is using an Argenti even. It's not even using like the free-to-play Herta or, you know, I guess they just wanted to use their Argenti, right? Now, this isn't sustainless because you have Ling Shaw here, but she might as well be a DPS on a team like this, right? So if that says anything about this situation with these clears that I was just showing you, most people clearing are pay to win, right? We looked at like maybe one account that was relatable at all. That really says a lot about the current memory of chaos. All right, now as far as clearing and good characters to use, etc., I used the Herta team for side 2 because she's just absolutely insanely good on this. She deals with wave 2, the actual main boss, so well. She handles him like he's nothing. The only problem with this is actually wave 1, the Arumaton. The Arumaton doesn't allow for weakness break a lot of the time he's on the field. You pretty much just have to power through him with the Herta, which is fine. But you can easily zero cycle wave 1 with a good the Herta team setup. For example, my the Herta team is good, but my the Herta herself is kinda ass. I'm using hand-me-down relics from other characters. I've never even farmed for her best gear, to be perfectly honest with you. I still cleared it with ease using a the Herta team. Now, part 1 is kind of an annoying one for me because I just refused to pull Aglaia because I wanted to stand on business that she's a selfish DPS, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It'll be the first time I haven't pulled a premium character in this game ever, but I might pull her last minute. I just didn't want to use her for content for a little while because I wanted to stand on how I felt about the character and how she's not the best pull for your account, and that there are other characters like Tribby coming out which will simply be better for your account overall. Also, I used an Acheron team to clear side 1, and yeah, sure, these elite enemies right here, the Searing Prowlers, they are weak to lightning, but it doesn't really matter. These guys are not the problem at all. The problem is, of course, the Swarm, which she deals with very easily. She AoEs all of the Swarm, and all those little bugs die very easily. They deal like, I think it's 2 to 3% damage every time they die. There's a whole lot of them on the field. This all starts to add up to a ton of damage output, and Acheron still has the juice for side 1 of this. I also really liked using a Fei Xiao team, which Fei Xiao with Topaz is a really, really strong combo. If you have the ability to do that, very, very strong team setup. Obviously, you can use Mose, or you could use March 7th instead. You know, with a follow-up team, you do want to have a Robin in there if you can have it be so. But, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you don't always have Robin available. For instance, you might be using Robin on a the Herta team, but you can totally use Sunday. Sunday is absolutely busted, and in some cases, maybe even more comfortable than having Robin, depending on what you have going on in combat, right? So I really liked Sunday with the Herta for this particular Memory of Chaos, and I used Robin as a fill-in for whatever team I was using on side 1. I thought Fei Xiao was really strong for side 1. I also want to point out something that not everyone's probably thinking of is Serval. Serval for side 2 is nuts, bro. she's absolutely nuts on side 2. She uses her skill so often, hitting multiple enemies at once. She ultimates really, really often. She's a beast for side 2 of this particular Memory of Chaos, but she doesn't immediately come to mind because she's a 4-star, and a lot of people just don't feel like she's got the juice anymore. But every once in a while, Serval comes out of nowhere and just absolutely destroys everything in her path. And everything, and I mean every single enemy in this particular side is weak to lightning. So this is essentially supposed to be built for Aglaia. If you have Aglaia, you can use her on either side and she'll just beast mode through it. Even this side, which the Swarm doesn't have lightning weak, but the other elite on both sides does. So Aglaia is really strong on either side. The Herta is really, really strong on either side. Serval could totally work. She's very, very strong. If you have an Eidolon DOT team with like a Kafka and a Black Swan, you could go with that, but a free-to-play like Black Swan Kafka team might not have the juice. It just might not be strong enough. DOT will see its moment in the sun again, but it's not patch 3.0, I'll let you know that. And as we saw earlier, Rappa is an insanely strong pick for side 1 of MOC 12 because everything is weak to imaginary on that side. She's going to weakness break them and just absolutely pop off. Easily one of the best characters to use in this particular Memory of Chaos right now. But yeah, as you can see, we have, of course, Fei Xiao's a dominant character we see here very often. We see if you have a pay-to-win Kafka Black Swan team, that can work too, as long as it's strong enough, or your second team is strong enough, but DOT has been suffering a bit lately. You see Acheron still clears. You see a strong follow-up team with a hyper carry. Topaz team is still clearing right now because she's an absolute beast. Hyper carry, Topaz is an absolute beast, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. Rappa is a very solid clear. Firefly is here in this lineup, but she's not the character to use, okay? People are rocking Eidolon 2 Firefly for their clears, okay? If you have an E2 Firefly, you don't need to watch anybody's video about how to clear content. You just go out there and you clear the content because she's absolutely insane at E2. But as you can see here, even Dan Hung and Bibiter Lune, you have Aglaia. But remember, that Dan Hung and Bibiter Lune was an E6, so he's not really got the juice these days. Unfortunately, he's just not very strong. So, you know, you got Aglaia. The Herta are the two best characters for the mode right now as far as DPS is concerned. And we do build our teams around the DPS characters. You have Acheron still strong. You have Fei Xiao still strong. You have Rappa. You have Serval. I'm surprised I'm not seeing anyone clear with Serval, but most of these people used a pay-to-win team to clear. They're not thinking from a free-to-play perspective. So if there's any other characters you feel like that are really, really good to clear this content with right now, go ahead and put them down in the comments below. And if you like this kind of stuff, consider leaving a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.